we started to engage with regulatory authorities, particularly the US FDA. We perceive the US market as probably being the largest market here, so it's important that we get the regulators on board with our program. We've had an initial meeting with the FDA, and they've said that the product could be classified as an OTC product, subject to the usual caveats that they put on it.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Ken James. He is the head of R&D for Futura Medical. And Ken, it's good to see you. How are you?
I'm great, Steve. Really delighted to speak to you today because we've got some exciting news around the new product development pipeline within the company.
Yeah, let's talk about that. But before we get to that, actually, let's talk about what the company actually does. Give people a bit of an update on who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so very simply, we're a company that develops and through global partnerships commercializes innovative and clinically proven products within the field of sexual health. We have a lead product that many of your viewers would know about called Eroxon, which has been launched in many markets around the world now. And this is a product that fulfills a need for erectile dysfunction. ED, as we call it, afflicts 1 in 5 men. It's a condition that increases with age. And our product, Eroxon, is a unique topical gel that helps men get an erection within 10 minutes. So it's much faster than the conventional oral medications, which often take 1 to 2 hours to work. And importantly, it's got a very, very good side effect profile. So that makes it suitable for marketing as an over-the-counter product without a prescription or without close supervision by a pharmacist. And therefore, we're very excited about the potential for that. Now, coming back to Futura, I think, as evidenced by Eroxon, we do have core strengths in R&D and solidifying global partnerships to commercialize the products in the field of sexual health. We're a company that is revenue generating now, courtesy of Eroxon, which we've launched. We have a strong cash balance, and we have a capital light structure because we're quite a small company. We're a semi-virtual company, and we have sufficient funds for growth going forward.
Yeah. So let's talk about these 2 new products that you are announcing. Who are they targeted at, and what can they do?
Well, I mean, the headline is that we have 2 products in development. One has a stronger sensorial effect than current Eroxon, and we can come on to talk about that in a bit more detail. But the other one, excitingly, on a slightly longer time frame, is for women's sexual dysfunction, which is a huge unmet need, in our opinion.
Yeah. Just on that first one, Eroxon Intense, is that replacing the original Eroxon?
So what we find with the marketing experience and our clinical data on Eroxon is that many men find that the current product is perfectly adequate in terms of the sensorial effect that they get, and that leads to an erection very quickly within 10 minutes. But there are a number of men who particularly want a stronger effect. And therefore, this is meant to address that need, whether it will be a range extension going forward. And this is fairly conventional work within the field of consumer healthcare. You would know, for example, with pain relievers that you have regular strength Advil or Panadol, but you also have extra strength formulations as well. So we really see this as a stronger sensorial effect to meet the needs of a select group of men who want a stronger sensation.
Okay. And now on the other product, you mentioned it's for sexual dysfunction in women. How big a market is that? You mentioned it was a bit of an unmet need.
Yeah, I mean we think it's a very big market. If you look at the literature, and we've spoken to a lot about key opinion leaders on this as well, you've got about 40 to 50% of women who do suffer problems of sexual dysfunction. And that problem increases to about 3/4 of women in the postmenopausal phase as well. So that we think there's huge market potential there for a product like this, and it's an unmet need at the moment. There are a couple of prescription products for select parts of the market, but frankly, they're not very effective and they have a horrible side effect profile. So, our intent is to go forward with a product which works on the same principle as Eroxon, creating a strong sensorial effect. We have some prototypes that we've put through an early proof of concept study. We get very encouraging results with those. We get a number of women, even though it was conducted in a clinical environment, a number of women got sexual arousal during that process in this fairly small study. So we think that there is a huge potential for this. We're planning to quantify that potential with some further work that we've got going on. And importantly, also, we've started to engage with regulatory authorities, particularly the US FDA. We perceive the US market as probably being the largest market here. So it's important that we get the regulators on board with our program. We've had an initial meeting with the FDA, and they've said that the product could be classified as an OTC product, subject to the usual caveats that they put on it regarding the data that we need to generate. But they would be comfortable classifying this as over-the-counter, not prescription.
Interesting. All right, give me sort of the timelines here for development. What are you looking at for both of these products?
Yeah, so just going back to Intense, where we are in the process so far, we're on quite a fast track with this. We've conducted an early proof of concept study. We put a couple of new formulations in. They gave us a much stronger sensorial effect, but without significant side effects. So we're now planning to go ahead and do further consumer research on that formulation, which will lead to ultimately claims, and then go through a regulatory process that we have to go through. And we're anticipating getting regulatory approval, hopefully by the end of next year, 2025. So that's good. Insofar as the female product is concerned, the women's product, we are conducting, I've referred to the early proof of concept work that we've done already. We want to put that into a larger study. We've got a study which has already commenced, which we're calling a home user study, much more in a real world situation, if you will. That will be conducted in 60 women. That study is ongoing with results coming out early in the new year, we feel, on that. We're conducting market research to provide a more formal quantification of the size of the opportunity, which we think is huge. And then we've got further discussions with the FDA as well to map out the full development program. All further progress is obviously going to be subject to review by the board when we get all those different inputs coming in. And also we want to start discussion with potential partners, because this particular development lies outside of our current Eroxon partnership. So we want to have further discussions with potential partners.
Yeah, still lots more work to come, but off to a good start on both of those. Ken, thanks so much. Great to see you and really appreciate the time.
That's great, Steve. Thanks a lot.
All right, there's Ken James, the head of research and development for Futura Medical.